Give me a quick sec. All of us on Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works should be good to go now. All of us inside Cyber Group, we're good to go. Well, you got to join us inside our trading room. My apologies for that, folks. I just caught that right now. Little audio issue at first, but here we are. We were just quickly talking about FRC and WAL, the two different banking stocks that we've had our eye on for the last month or so. So just quickly summarizing what I was just saying a second ago. We're going to put this on our watch list. Look out for resistance around 1482, 1483, even though that iceberg order just got pulled right now or just before. That should still be a bit of a level. Otherwise, I would expect for there to be major resistance up top here at 15 bucks. All right, so FRC definitely going to put back on our list here. WAL, same to be said there. If it stops me out break even off at 40, then so be it. I'll look for a new entry. But yeah, definitely those two. Let me just go through the rest of the other banking stocks while I'm at it. Like Key Bank, hey, this is probably the least volatile, the most tradable of these all. Great to have Brian also inside our trading room today here. Brian W., great to have him back. Now, with that said, up really quick and also inside the trading room, what's happening here? I'm having a little bit of an issue. Looks like I was good to go there at first inside the trading room. I know that you could hear me. Just give me a quick second right now. I'm going to try and reboot for the trading room really quick. Should be good to go on social, though. Just give me a quick second. One moment. All sorts of tech issues here this afternoon I'm walking into. What's happening? All right. Hopefully it doesn't freeze up there. I kind of warned us a moment ago about the potential low Wi-Fi, but hopefully no more freeze ups for Brian, Leda, Steven. Great to have Steven as well with us here. All right. So fingers crossed, but Key Bank, probably the most tradable of these bank stocks right now. Just the most liquid, consistently tight spread. It's not going to make the biggest move percentage-wise. So just realize that. Know your worth on the trade. But I'll put this on our main list here too. What else did we get here? What else did we get? Yeah, WAL, FRC, Key Bank. I feel like there's PACW Pacific, right? Yeah, PACW at the highs as well, making a nice pop right now here for the meantime. So I would assume major resistance to be up top at 12. I don't have Bookmap open for this trade in particular, but I would always trust the whole number level at that. So those four we're going to put on our watch list right now. We don't need to put anything else on there as far as the bank stocks, unless if it really pops up on the gainer side or it looks as strong or good otherwise. Don't need to put everyone on there. All right, so with that said, markets are slipping back down a little bit here. It looked like just going into 2 o'clock, we had a better pop, but then the SPY had pulled back within this range again, and we'll see where the markets take us going into the close. Could be a slower close than anything. Had a nice run up before. So let's see what we have from top to bottom, though. CJJD, we ended up doing pretty well on this trade earlier in the morning, but after the morning pop in pre-market, ended up building a little support, but then eventually failed to break higher, broke down and pulled back. So it was good for about like 10, 15 cents after the open, but otherwise definitely more flat here. It looks like the stock took a huge hit back from yesterday. So had a small gap up, small recovery. Don't trust it though. You could tell looking as I'm going from stock to stock. You felt a little slowness on the platform there, right? So hopefully I don't freeze up again. But SAI, another AI stock, hey, pushing back up again. Give me a quick moment here, folks. Just 1 second. I want to go through the different AI trades. Otherwise, you have AI, SOUN, BBAI, none of these looking good. Really, none of them are all looking good. So going back to SAI, this one, hey, I don't mind putting this on our main list. I'm not a fan of the spread, though, so hopefully the order book fills in a little bit more. I like the bank stocks first, but I'll put this on the main list. All right, don't get this one confused with Boyle. You got BIOL on the gainers list here. I don't know if it's an oil ETF. I don't care to check. It's not really looking that great as far as price. All right, so drug also not looking too great in price because we normally don't trade these cheapy stocks below $1. This thing had a huge pop up yesterday, dropped back down. So we didn't really have our focus on this trade heading into the market open out of any of the cheap stocks that we ended up trading and those below $1. It was really Bed Bath Beyond, Bobby J. And we did really well in this trade from the morning session. It took a while, but finally made that breakout over 48 cents. but it was a short squeeze. What goes up comes back down, and once the volume peaks and dies off, that's where you'll typically see the top and then the pullback here. So getting back to drug, this is trying to work its way back up again, isn't it? But I want to see if there's anything just more within our price range, more like over $1 and all that first. All right, so we'll keep it going though. Otherwise, hopefully, no more issues here, audio, video wise. Vine, speaking of issues, I mean, this was a huge issue earlier today. Ended up pushing up pretty nicely, it looks like, but it took its time. It was kind of choppy around the $4 level, $4.13, and then ended up breaking higher a little bit later on. But that's where I lost trust in it. It started to chop around again. I just didn't expect to see as good of a pop afterwards here, and it led to one. So that was a big miss there. But otherwise, there's other trades out there to try and capitalize on. Obviously, we just talked about Bed Bath Beyond. That was from earlier, a stock that we all did pretty well on, I think. Gern, Gern, not much happening there. Pretty slow, albeit at the highs. I could put it on our list solely for that reason, but it's kind of like watching the grass grow there. IBRX looking a little bit better, right? In terms of just the pace, in terms of just the recent pop, and looking at the daily chart, looks like a series of higher highs now. So, oh yeah, this thing took a huge hit dating back to the end of last year as well, from 7 all the way down to potentially sub 1, sub 150. So potentially there could be more room to go. I don't mind putting this on the back end too, IBRX. Oh, yeah, that's right. Obviously, speaking of the AI stocks, there's CXAI, probably the most volatile, the biggest percent gainer over the last week or two. But right now, though, looking at the spread, the direction overall, lower highs here, I don't have much interest in it just yet. All right. So there's definitely, folks, definitely a lot that is up more percentage wise. I mean, number 50 is up like 9.5% nearly. So, there's definitely some more stocks out there that could be up that 5% plus. Type it in the chat board if it looks good. I'll look at BBIO lastly before we hop over to the loser side. This is not looking really too great. BBIO, just kind of at the highs, not much happening there recently. All right, so let's hop over to the losers list here. Just a bunch of stocks that are cheap, below $1. That kind of makes sense if you think about it, because yesterday we had so many different stocks that were below $1 on the gainer side to begin. What goes up comes back down. So AGFY, ALLR. We weren't trading all of these, but we saw them earlier. So we're gonna skip over them now. Probably more on the way up that we have an eye on. Riot. This was a really good short from earlier this morning. So pretty quickly, you know what? I don't mind sharing this right now. A little free game, especially for all of us on social media today joining us inside the live trading room. Little extra traders talk content. How about that? We'll label it as. So Riot. I was calling this out pretty intently this morning off the level 1288. Led to a nice short. So from here, going into the market open, direction down. It was down percentage wise and it was dropping off. So obviously, bears leading the way. You want to expect to see continued selling volume. And from there, we ended up having a bunch of volume filled specific to 1288, including 10,000 share fill. Hey, it all adds up. Certainly, it shows here on level 4. So, ended up pushing up after the open, moved up, over and under, led to a nice drop. Pretty straightforward in terms of what we preach and teach each and every day inside our live trading room or otherwise in our classes. I just don't know if this is going to look to make the continuated move into the close. It's not really down a whole lot percentage wise to guarantee the dead cat bounce. It is volatile enough to perhaps should this bounce maybe look for about 20-30 cents. So you know what, Riot, I'll put back on our list, perhaps just knowing that it's tradable both ways, shortable on TradeStation. Mara is hard to borrow, MARA, broke under 11. So I feel like Riot's the more volatile of the two recently. It's always subject to change. Mara for a long time was. Give me a quick moment. I could actually tell inside the trading room. There's definitely a bit of a lag inside the screen there. So we'll try and get that fixed momentarily, folks. My apologies in advance. But yeah, right now, Mara not really looking as volatile. Riot, the more volatile of the two. And I mean that in like a good way to make money off of. So, in that regard, I'll put Riot on our watch list. Not much else really looking too much like a familiar name here from the loser side. I guess you could short boil, can you? Natural gas ETF dropping back down, but I just feel like there's better opportunities to work with right now. If you want to practice shorting on a very liquid ticker, then this could potentially be one for you. Chuck saying SAI showing renewed life, maybe. Yep, we had talked about that before. It's on our watch list so far. So for the meantime, it's on there, but be careful of the bad spread. I don't like how open the spread is for how cheap the stock is. So yeah, just be careful there. PTPI, getting back to this one, actually, this made a big move back earlier this afternoon. I'd called it out earlier, and actually, I'll do the same here as I did before in Riot. I'd called out 715 as a resistance on the PTPI trade, right? We were saying that just before. Let me just get the call out here in the chat from 1:59 Eastern time. PTPI 715, big level from last week, stamped at 159. So the reason I bring that up is because shortly after 2 o'clock, it broke over 7. Yes, it topped off 10 cents higher, but what was the reaction after? That's what we care about, right? I can care less about being perfect about tops and bottoms, but I care really much about the levels because levels aren't going to be picture perfect each and every singular touch. But with that, we had a pretty big fill that was had from Friday from the end of last week. Big resistance off of 715, another big iceberg right around that area. So it tried breaking off of there on Friday afternoon and failed. So why not expect history to repeat itself? Right. So, you know what? PTPI, I'm going to put back on our list. I think I skipped over this as I was going from top to bottom. But yeah, right now, let's see if the spread closes in more on this one, too. All right, folks. I could tell I'm losing it here on the trading room. Just the video right now is very slow from my side. My apologies there. I think we're actually good to go on YouTube. But otherwise, let me know if there's any other stocks that you want me to look at. Looks like Chatboard's good to go, though. All right, let me check Benzinga Pro lastly, then we'll wrap up. I'll bring this up here at least for the meantime, show this on the screen if I could. So edible EDBL maybe trying to make a pop right now, up over 26%, trading 1.2 million shares so far on the day. EDBL. Yeah, nice little pop. It was actually prior to 2 o'clock. This ended up making a nice pop. I didn't notice that. And perhaps I skipped over this here too. Juggling a lot of crap right now between all these audio video issues. Internet, I think it is ultimately. I got to reboot my modem here, just coming up. But otherwise, yeah, nice little finds. Edible arrangements, edible garden, whatever it's called. All right, folks, we're going to wrap up for right now. So in total, we got 2, we got 4, we got 6, we got 8, we got 9 stocks in total to work with. Not too big, I don't think. Just try and pick 1 or 2 out of this watch list. I just scanned the market for the last 15 minutes, unless if something is making an incredible pop that I'd be watching or looking to put on our watch list at this time, then I would start and stick with what we have here, folks. If you're Chuck or Michael, Brian, John, or any one of us here inside this chat board. But aside from that, though, folks, I'll be here up until 3:30. If you're on social, hey, if you're interested in joining us inside our live trading room, just go right down to the link on the green banner below the stream, just right there at the bottom, just to get yourself set up and started. Any questions before joining us? Feel free to shoot me a quick email. I always like to post my email here at the end of these streams, josh@ctutrading.com. So any questions or trades, just let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. All right, but for all of us otherwise, like I said just before, the audio will continue. Rich will be back on at 3 o'clock Eastern, taking you folks going into the close.